Why a trained stylist can turn your hair system from good to great. This isn't talked about enough, and let's discuss it now. Now, stylist, trained hair system stylists, these are the creme de la creme when it comes to hair systems and making sure that they look good on you. I fell into the trap when I first started getting systems that I could do this myself, I could train myself up in doing it, and I tell you what, I gave it a good go, but it's hard work. The reason these people are trained is because it's not easy. They're very skilled in what they do, and they can really make your system look transformationally better. And in my opinion, it's really worth the extra bit of money every 3-4 months. I mean, look, first thing you need to work out, everything else, you need to work out, what kind of system am I going to get and how long am I going to get out of it? And then you can start thinking about budgeting. You can start thinking about budgeting for how often you'd need to see a stylist. Obviously, if you're going to get a 0.2 to a 0.03 millimeter system, then you will have to go to your stylist more often, because those systems, they last 1 month, maybe 2 if you're super careful with it. So you'd be seeing your stylist to get a new one cut in every 6 months. That could cost quite a bit. If it's every 3 and 4 months or even longer, you could stretch out that budget a little bit more. So you wouldn't have to see the stylist as often. But as I said, in the early days, I was of the mindset that, you can do this yourself. But the longer I've been wearing systems, and the better they look, and I've come to this realization, the better they look when you have someone trained doing it, it's kind of worth it. Like, I've got many more positive comments about my own system and how it looks and the blend and stuff like that. We'll talk about this in a bit, actually, the blend, because that's really important. The more I get those sort of comments, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Seeing a specialist stylist really does make a difference. And the time in between, which is when some people, myself included for a long time, used to just, cut their own hair and sort of try and learn through YouTube videos. And a lot of us were doing that, especially during COVID, I remember. Who remembers that, guys? When we were sort of, the no hairdressers were open and we were basically, learning off the hoof. We were teaching ourselves how to cut hair. And I remember seeing a few hair system stylists making videos to help people. So we've all been there, and we all know how hard it is. It's not easy, and you can't do as good a job as a stylist. I'd also like to clarify at this point, there is a difference when I'm talking hair system trained stylist and just a normal barber who's not really trained in this. Guys, I guarantee you will get a better result with a hair system trained stylist. I believe on Levivid's website, there is actually a part of that website. I'll see if I can find this link, and I'll put it in the description box below. But there is a part of their website which has recommended stylists, and it's based off of area codes. So you've got, parts of the US, the UK, various parts of Europe, America, Asia, this kind of thing. 100% worth checking out, because I can guarantee you there will be a trained hair system stylist within a 2-mile drive of where you live. My stylist, Myra, she lives in London. It's about an hour away on the train, so it's not too bad. But when you're I would always now actually recommend going to see a hair system trained stylist when you're having a new system put on. In my opinion, you don't need to see them at the times in between. When the sides just need trimming, you probably could get away with having a barber just do that. I mean, I go and see a stylist where I live, and she's like £15. She's also a friend of ours, and she knows how to do a skin fade, and that's what I like. So she just clips up the hair system and just sort of cuts the sides, goes for the skin fade on the sides. I can't do that. I'm not trained to do that. I tried. Guys, you will remember. People have been following me for a long time. You will know I tried this. I tried this myself. I watched so many YouTube videos. It's not easy. Okay, it's not impossible. But I tell you what, if you can find a barber in your area who's willing to just cut your sides, go for it, because they are trained in this and they know what they're doing, and I can guarantee they will do a better job than you. Just make sure you don't get ripped off. Don't pay 50, 60 pounds just to have your sides cut, guys. Make sure you don't get ripped off. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because we are discussing stylists and the style of the system itself and how it's going to look on you, I have had experience, and I know that this is an option that's offered with most suppliers. I know that Levivid do it, Lord Hair do it, I think Bono offer it as well. Most suppliers, I think, offer this service whereby you can get the system cut remotely, and then they will ship it to you, and you will sort of have it sort of cut to your liking by them. Now, I've given that a go a couple of times, and it's handy, and it does save money, but being quite frank, guys, you don't get quite the result that you would with a stylist with the system on your head. So remember, it's really important to remember that when the supplier is cutting the system, they're literally putting it on a mannequin. There's no side hair to work with, and the mannequin is very unlikely to be the same shape or size of your head. It's really, really, really important to remember, guys. So they're literally working off of a default model, which is really important to remember, because your head is not a default model. We are all humans are wonderful things, but we are all different shapes and sizes, which makes us very unique in our own funny way. So yeah, again, that's why it's always best, if you can afford it, to take your system uncut to a stylist, to a hair system stylist, and there's plenty about, and get them to fit it for you and get them to cut it for you, because remember, they are working with your head shape, they are working with your head size, and they are working with the hair on your sides. If you want it blended really well, you need to go to a stylist, guys. I can't underline that enough. So please do make sure, if you're working with a budget, and that's what we do on this channel, guys, we work with a budget. If you're working with a budget, make sure that you've got enough money in there that you can afford a stylist who can fit it for you. Now, as I said earlier in the video, the times around that, you know, when you'd probably go in like once a month, you can see a barber for that. Just be like, look, I wear a hairpiece. Are you able to just clip that up and then just do what you need to do on the sides? You know, do a skin fade or just do it quite short or whatever. They will do a better job than you. I can guarantee it, unless you're a trained barber yourself. Now, if you're working on the lower end of the budget scale, which is something that I do as well, you need to make sure you're not getting a system that'll only last 1 or 2 months best, because that means you'll need to go to the stylist more, you'll need more cut-ins, it'll cost more money. Just get yourself a lace base, like a French lace, for instance, or something like what I've got right now. This is the Coeus system. It's 0.08 millimeters. It's from Levivid. Check out the coupon code in the description box below, 15% off. This will last you longer than an ultra thin skin that's a sort of 0.02 millimeters. If you're only needing to get a new system every 3 to 4 months, or even longer, 5 to 6, you don't need to spend as much. You can operate on a lower budget. So always, please, my friends, please have that in mind when you're getting your system. I hope you found that interesting, guys. Have you used a stylist? Do you use a hair system stylist? Do you use a stylist who's not trained in hair systems at all? And what do you do for the months in between getting a new system and replacing it with another system 2, 3, 4 months down the line? Let me know in the comments box below. It'd be really good to hear. It'd be really good to hear as well if you've actually had a good experience with stylists who aren't hair system trained. I'd be fascinated to know. Love you all, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll speak to you very soon. Take care.